Viewers, you are welcome to an exciting edition of EBS Guests. Of course, this program will look at a wide range of issues from Edo State to the national level. I have a man with a very robust profile to look at these issues. Is Barrister Yesufu Abubakar. Now, Barrister Yesufu Abubakar is a former president, SUG, University of Benin. He is also the national chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers, and an activist, also a social critic. Is the Ogineni of Igwebelan, Chief Yesufu Abubakar. You are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
League of Patriotic Lawyers. What does this entail? What is the meaning of this?
Well, at the league's level, we honestly believe that there is an option to poverty, hunger, and disease. We normally crusade for that alternative. Okay. We also believe that there is an alternative to homelessness. We also crusade for that alternative. We believe that there's an alternative to people housing or warehousing, better put, millions of dollars in their warehouses and homes, only to the detriment of the general hoipole. We crusade for that alternative. And we have found favor with the homeless people, the disabled, or in a word, the wretched of the earth. We crusade for that alternative. So in a word or two, what we generally do is pro bono matters, things that are pro people, things that are pro poor, as opposed to, the sense of yesteryears, which tends to emphasize establishment, tends to emphasize wealth, tends to emphasize oppression.
All right, Barrister. Now, when you spoke about pro bono, I expect that your services will be free for the poor, but that is not the case we should be looking at now. Taking a look at the verdict of the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal's verdict that was given just on Friday. Now, what is your take about the verdict? What do you think about it?
Well, as a lawyer, I would not want to be too intrusive into that judgment, but I'm going to say one or two, because I know that judgment would, subject to their interpretation, will be appealed to go to Court of Appeal, eventually end up in the Supreme Court. So I need to be very tactical, so that I don't prejudice what will be the outcome of the case and the Court of Appeal, or even the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court.
Okay, well, as it stands,
I'm kind of comfortable that there was no bloodletting, there was no fighting, there was no untold situations, and I must commend both the ruling party and the opposition for acting in a very matured form and taking the judgment. Suffice it to say that the professor of law, so to say, would always say that the law is the law. It is morally binding. So as it stands, so we are all respecting the law, and we're expecting those who are not satisfied to go on appeal.
So let's take a peep at the national level.
Yeah.
It's 2 years since the inception of the president's administration.
Yeah.
Would you say it has performed fairly or otherwise?
Yeah. Well, at the risk of being political, because at the league's level we try to be apolitical, okay, as we try to live above politics, even though it is often said that everybody is a political animal. If you are not one, it's either you are above or below humanity. That is to say, it's either you are a god or a beast.
Okay.
If you are talking about the election of Muhammad Buhari and what he has done so far, I want to believe that he has tried within the very, very limited circle he found himself, and the other areas where I believe too he needs to really wake up and take the bull by the horn. The fight against insurgency, specifically Boko Haram. He has been very active in that sense. Succeeded in sending Boko Haram back to hell, where they rightly belong.
But we still have pockets of bomb explosions.
Yeah, that is true. That's why I'm saying that it's not a 100% success. Even Americans, they have not been able to succeed in their battle against Al Qaeda, Nusram, and other other agents that are divisive and decidedly anti-people. So I think he's trying, and I think he still needs to do more. Not only in the fight against insurgency, I think he has to really wake up, because at the leagues level, at the risk of being repetitive, I've told you, and I want to say it again, that we are not too comfortable with his economic blueprint. But one would have expected that at this level, we'll be getting the necessary dividends of economic blueprint. But as it stands, we are still the economy is still very parlous. The naira has taken a dive, has been terribly beaten by the greenback dollars.
But it's improving.
Yes, it's improving, but it's not yet time to say hurrah or hallelujah. So we really need to rejig our economic policy and see whether we can really get to the Eldorado. That is one of the reasons why he was voted for. He was not voted for to only fight insurgency. It's also to take the bull by the horn in economic terms, and some other areas. Again, we are not too comfortable too at the posture of the administration towards human rights, so to say. Like some people are still in custody, despite the fact that they've been given bail, and they are languishing there. One would expect the law officer in the entire cabinet to also take the bull by the horn and ensure that they are given speedy trial. And if bail has been granted to anybody, the bail should be allowed to take its place, because I think the essence of granting bail or refusing the same is not to give anybody added advantage. Because as Otutu Obaseki, Justice of the Supreme Court, as it then was, would say, in the case of Inua Sadao versus the state, he was very emphatic, as he was vivid. He said that, quote, that it does not give the court any joy to see offenders escape the penalty they richly deserve. But until they are be found guilty by the right court under the right law, they are entitled to tread Nigerian streets, breathe Nigerian air as free and innocent citizens, quote. So what it means that if anybody has been granted, specifically I'm talking about the continuous incarceration of the IPOP man, Kalu, continuous incarceration of Zaki, despite the fact that they've been granted bail by a court of competent jurisdiction. At the leagues level, we are not too comfortable with him. But I must say this, that the nomination, subsequent election of Buhari was a subtle revolution, so to say. If you see the closest person to Buhari that was, so to say, before the nomination proper, was perhaps Abubakar Atiku. The mere fact that Buhari was an underdog, no money, known though, that was his fourth attempt, was able to defeat all the other gladiators. That's a kind of a revolution. Okay. So what I'm saying in essence is that we are not there yet, but we'll get there. So he's been trying, and he has to really wake up and take the bull at the umpteenth time, I'll say, by the horn. Should not listen to what I would call gutter snippet or other things that tends to derail the administration. A lot of work to be done, like I've said. It's not gotten to the Eldorado, but I think he's trying.
You seem to have left out the war against corruption.
Yeah.
There are many people have applauded him on this. Do you think the war against corruption, Buhari's government is on the winning side?
Yeah, that is the most, I think, significant aspect of Buhari's administration. The war against corruption is ongoing. It has claimed some victims. Some people are already, they are already been sentenced, and some are on appeal. And on the other side too, there are a lot of forces. Some will say corruption fighting back, but I wouldn't want to use that label. He's hard on corruption, and I think we should all come together and give him the necessary support so that corruption would not fight viciously back.
Okay, now the chief corruption fighter, if I should use that phrase.
Yeah.
Now, Magu was invited to the Senate twice, and twice he was rejected.
Yeah.
And we have seen people of your profession, people like Femi Falana, even Mike Ozokeme, have come to air their position. One says the president could continue to send Magu's name to the Senate, and the other says perhaps they should look for somebody else. Now, where do you stand between the position of Femi Falana and Mike Ozokweme, who thinks that it shows the incompetence of Magu?
Well, let me first of all say that the war on corruption will not go the distance if we do not depoliticize our spectacles or prison are looking at this battle. Femi, like you know, is of the firm view, he belongs to the left to a very large extent, that Magu is competent, no matter what, that he has been rejected twice.
Yes.
And on the other side, so to say, on the right, that is, maybe conservative, is being led by Learned Senior and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chief Ozekhome. Well, to those of us who are at the league's level, we believe, quite frankly, that Magu is competent, Magu is virile, and all arrows thrown at Magu appears to have come to naught, N-O-U-G-H-T. You realize that even the grounds on which the Senate tends to premise its rejection appears to be unscholarly and will not be able to stand the test of time.
Why do you think so?
Yes, I will let you have this, because there are about 2 or 3 reasons why the DSS has laid bare the non-confirmation of Magu to the Senate. The first is that he took some files home whilst he was in the police force. And I want to tell you this quickly, that after that so-called case, I remember vividly that it was during the time of Mrs. Waziri that the issue of that file came up. The Police Service Commission's disciplinary committee tried Magu, found Magu not guilty, and ensured that he was reabsorbed into the police. And he passed through the trials, trials, and tribulation of this gamut. So I'm still surprised that DSS still have been on the same thing. If there's anybody that should, body BODY, that should be able to raise Magu's incompetence in this direction, I think that body, properly so-called, should be the Police Service Commission. Magu did not work with the DSS. Magu did not work with Senate. Magu has always worked with the police and still with the police. It's only the Police Service Commission that can really say that Magu is incompetent. That was the first reason. The second reason they alluded to was that Magu rented an expensive accommodation, so to say, in Abuja. That again is fallacious. We are at the next level. We're going to go into this. That accommodation was provided by the FCTA, and he merely stayed there as a tenant, and still there, I guess, as a tenant. What we want to see at the next level is the mansions acquired by Magu, the exotic cars Magu is using, the properties he has acquired abroad. It is only now that I'm hearing that somebody living in expensive accommodation is sinful, so to say. I'm a lawyer and I've been around for a while. I know as a matter of practice, most police formations, once a police commissioner comes to any area, it is often companies, people that are in the private sector, some with questionable background, that even help in securing accommodation for them. So I'm surprised that Magu's case is also different. Then again, they are also talking about romance with one Alhaji Umar Muhammad or so. But people tend to forget that this so-called man worked with Magu when the president set up the arms contracts or arms review committee. They were colleagues. And according to the DSS report, they are saying that Magu was in the same aircraft with him, first class or whatever. So all these reasons are not only unsustainable. It tends to show that the desperation and the lack of cohesion in the presidency. Suffice it to say that if this is allowed to see the light of day, there are some implications. Firstly, it tends to show, or it will show, that the presidency is not only weak, it's not cohesive. So I will also use this platform to kindly ask presidency to put its houses in order, that they should also show that they are not weak, they are not incoherent, so that we'll be able to ensure that Magu gets there. It's not Magu. Let me quickly say, it's not Magu that we are supporting. We're actually supporting the institution, the Crimes Commission, just as we did to Lamode, just as we did to Ribadu. We're also doing to Magu. Because if they succeed, if Senate or any other body succeeds in stamping Magu out, there are some implications. Okay. It shows that whosoever comes to power will need to play to the gallery of the National Assembly. Will be so terrified. They will say the man that was here before was more active, so to say, than you. And we succeeded in putting him down. Secondly, the humongous recoveries that he has done so far will also come to naught, because all these recoveries will also have to pass through the mill of prosecution.
Let me cut in here. Are you saying that if another person is appointed,
Yes.
these recoveries will not come to the fore, or the corrupt people, in quote, maybe in the Senate or in the National Assembly, will not be pursued by the next person?
Yeah, thank you so much. What I am saying in essence is that the idea of putting somebody forward should be at the discretion of Mr. President. Mr. President has consistently, twice now, said that Magu will be a good partner in my fight against corruption. It should also be left to his discretion to withdraw Magu if he so desires. But for you to now stampede the president into rejecting or refusing Magu candidacy is an indication that you are left, I'm talking Senate especially, you are left this sphere of lawmaking, and you are not dabbling. You are not dabbled into the jurisdiction of appointing, or the jurisdiction of the executive function. That is appointing. The executive is the appointing authority, and the Senate is the confirming authority. No one should be able to interfere with the function of the other. So if they succeed, I'm not saying Buhari has the discretion, the president has the discretion to withdraw Magu today, but it is unpatriotic for Senate to say, we have rejected Magu, replace him. That discretion is that of the president. So and he has consistently said that this is my candidate.
With this forth and back, where do we go from here? What's the position of law?
Well, it is very clear, because if you look at the 1999 Constitution, I want to believe, for the sake of argument, that the chairmanship of the EFCC is not even one of those organizations, so to say, that requires confirmation by Senate. Assuming, but not considered, that is even one, what they ought to do is to amend the Constitution of 1999 to ensure that this confirmation thing is contained therein. I've also heard the argument that at the time the 1999 Constitution was enacted, the FCC Act was not there. But until that act the Constitution is amended to ensure that EFCC chairmanship comes under the purview that needs confirmation from Senate. Senate, I beg to say, will be blowing muted trumpet.
Okay, now, it's not only Magu that is having problem with the National Assembly. Yeah. We're talking about the Senate now. You also know that the custom boss, Ahmed Ali, is also having a similar problem with the Senate. Even the SGF, that is Bachilawa, is having a similar problem with the Senate. This seeming rift between the executive and the legislature, what do you think about it?
Well, this is what I always say. There is a lack of cohesion in both parties, the ruling party APC and the opposition PDP. So they should be able to come together. I'm very surprised that the leadership of APC especially has not been able to form a cohesive forum whereby this matter that borders on indiscipline, lack of cohesion, double standard, and the tendency towards sectionalism has not been totally solved. Let me here and now call on both parties, both the APC and PDP, because the two parties form part and parcel of our area of jurisdiction, so to say. The APC especially should be able to talk to the factions that are warring in the National Assembly, so that there's a cohesive body. One would have thought that by the time you are presenting a candidate to Senate for confirmation or any other thing, you put your house in order. So as it stands, I'm very, very scandalized. I'm shocked. I'm miffed that the leadership of APC, and to an extent that of PDP.
Are you talking about lobbying now?
Well, whether you call it lobby, whether you call it coercion, whether you call it cooperation, the leadership of APC has not been able to put his house in order. The same applies to PDP. One would have even thought that at the PDP's level, there's also this cohesion and discipline. So at both parties, APC and PDP, they lack cohesion. And if there's going to be any new party that will challenge this, I think the league will give effect or give support to that kind of development. As it stands, both parties, they lack cohesion and party discipline. And that is part of the reason why we are seeing all these drawback, all this opposition, all this lack of ideological construction on that of the ideological stand, both at the National Assembly and all other spheres of government.
Now, let's take a look at this fight against corruption. Yeah. Recently, we've heard the anti-graft body discovering huge sums of money in hidden places, markets, private houses, and stuff like that. Do you think we can add this up as success on the part of the EFCC?
Well, like I told you, the EFCC, these discoveries, to a very large extent, has added color, has added strength to the call of the league's stand that Magu should be strengthened, whosoever is there should be strengthened. And if you are very close to the league's table, you know, there's not only Magu that is, you look at the Lagos zone, you talk of people like Katungu, a lot of people like Dungu, they are in charge of Lagos zone, and they have really showed their worth in all these humongous recoveries. I think this is a very big plus to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and we should give kudos to them, and we should give support. And this is not the time to really refuse whosoever is heading there, because we dampen the enthusiasm of the man to fight and do more recoveries. So it's a kudos, it's a plus to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
So what is the implication of all this to the economy?
Well, the economy has taken a boost. It is now sure that it is no longer business as usual. Even your house is no longer a safe haven for ill-gotten wealth. No matter where you keep your ill-gotten wealth, the Crimes Commission will perhaps reach out to you and recover same if it's not genuinely acquired. And don't forget that if we do not punish infractions based on these illegalities, then the platform to adhere to discipline, to adhere to financial suavity, financial dream of tomorrow will not be there. So